Hey y'all, this is Tamika, the face behind Hey HR. Y'all, I'm here to tell y'all all about the differences I've noticed in SHRM study materials ever since it started with giving the certification exam. So I started my career back in 2012. That's when I started my actual first HR job. But I was in grad school starting in 2010. And so I've been in human resources for quite some time. When SHRM originated the certification and decided that HRCI was not going to be the only organization doing the certification exams, I was one of the first people to take the test during that time. Okay, so I'm not even gonna waste y'all time
and be like, oh yeah, girl, because I got certified back then.
No, I did not. I failed miserably. The pass rate was like 40% back then. So for me to notice that the pass rate has increased actually gives me so much hope. I will tell you guys that in this video, I'm not going to focus on what different study options they have as far as like technology, books, pre-tests, things like that. They are constantly going to change different things with that. So the biggest thing that shouldn't change, or that we should notice the change for, or that we need to pay attention to the change for, is the actual material. And so that's the stuff I'm going to cover in this video. If you guys want to know about the changes of SHRM then versus now, keep watching. So I created some notes because it was too much for me to hold in and think all at one time. So with this, some of the things that I've noticed from 2015, 2017-ish time was the number of books that they have. So they've now combined the HR competencies and the strategy information together in one book. And I've noticed that that's been consistent for the last few years now. So I think they'll keep it that way. Honestly, when they had the HR competencies side, like, or the book for the HR competencies, I really couldn't understand why that book existed. There wasn't very much information in it. It literally only talked about the SHRM competencies, which flows throughout all of the study material. So it really seemed like it didn't serve a purpose. So to see it with strategy is so much more helpful. So I'm going to go ahead and let you guys know, if you don't follow me, you're new here, welcome. But if you're existing, you're returning, then thank you so much for coming back. But you already know that I just created updated SHRM notes using the SHRM book. You can use these notes for HRCI or SHRM. I've had quite a few different customers who have used my previous notes and used them for both exams. So you definitely can use them, and they've been successful in it. I've gotten plenty of messages, reviews where people have said, hey, I was able to pass for the HRCI as well. I created those notes literally for me. Just like I created all of the flashcards literally for me. This is 2 bins of just flashcards. I created all of that because that was my second time taking an exam. I was trying to do something new so I can get a new result. So obviously the first way I studied, I felt like, okay, that didn't work. So I need to change something. So I went all in, made the flashcards, made notes, took pre-tests, not only used SHRM's flashcards, but made my very own flashcards and came up with a schedule and stuck to it. So if you guys had not seen how I passed the SHRM exam video, then definitely take a peek at it here, or do me a favor and watch it at the end after you finish watching this one. But I definitely wanted to tell you guys that because I want you to know that I didn't just compare this information and shoot some information out to you. No, the first time I wrote over 200 pages of notes, and this time I wrote over 200 pages of notes. And I went layer by layer and compared the material. Not only did I notice that the strategy and competencies books were combined, but I've also noticed that the organization book is a lot smaller. It's kind of shrink down a little bit over the years. What I've noticed as I'm making the notes is that they've really talked about organization and strategy throughout all of the books. It's almost impossible to not be redundant because so many of these things overlap in some way or another. And so I feel like that's what happened with the organization book. The workplace and the people book are pretty much the same size. They're big. They have a lot of pages, over 400 pages. The material that I went through is still very much the same. For in the people section, so I wrote down all kind of notes everywhere because I was writing a bunch of notes already. So I was like, let me just jot this stuff down. So I have my notebook and I have a little sheet that I wrote. The people section now has more interview information, it has more recruiting information, and it has more US versus global comparisons. And so I really like that, especially now that my career have gone from just working in the US to working global. It really all came full circle for me where I was like, yeah, this is helpful information for the global organizations, the global HR professionals. Obviously, interviews and recruiting have changed drastically. So I don't know why I didn't really expect a change with that in the SHRM material, because I didn't. But that's been a big change from when they first started. They've added in more ways that interviews take place, more ways that recruiting take place, more global and national comparisons of the two. And so they've also added more staffing options as well, like more ways to get your staff, get your employees hired. Another thing that I noticed is that they added a whole lot more details on training and knowledge management. And so that was helpful too, because as technology continues to grow, technology continues to change, we continue to have new software that is created, then naturally more options for ways that we train our employees is going to occur or be created or what have you. And I obviously there's a lot of global information, because I had on this tiny little sheet, I had it written 2 different times that there's tons more global information. So, and as I was creating the new notes, I compared them to the old notes. Where things stayed the same, I actually just pulled them from the old notes and put them in the new document for the new notes. And so I really did a thorough comparison, like between the two. Like, it was so thorough. So another thing that I noticed is that they added a lot more information on labor unions. That was interesting to see too, because I didn't anticipate that labor unions have changed a lot, but I can now say that, okay, I could see why they added more information on labor unions. Another thing that I've noticed is that nearly all processes and changes requires pretty much the same general steps. So like, they were just repetitive throughout the people, organization, and workplace books, where the main steps in the process. Now, some of these processes had extra steps, some of them had less, but overall, majority of all of those processes included evaluate the situation, to analyze the situation, to communicate well, to implement, and to review. Like, any process it talked about, if it was, creating an employee handbook, if it was creating an ERG, if it was creating a new strategy, it just all included the same thing. If it was creating like the budget, like, they all went to the same type of processes. Now, they're all not exactly the same, but this will help you as you study for the exam to see like, oh, well, pretty much the process is going to be, I don't really need to remember the process name as much as I need to remember the steps. And the steps are primarily that you're going to start with evaluating, analyze, communicate, implement, review, and most of them are a cycle that you're going to do it over and over again. And now that I'm 10 years in versus when I first went to take the test and I was only 2 years into my career, it definitely made so much sense, and it's so true. So true. It's so many times that if I have missed a step in any process, I reflect now and I'm like, that's why that probably didn't go very well. So those steps are super duper important. Now, just so y'all know, SHRM used to not have exams, right? And so only HRCI did these exams. And so SHRM started back in 2015 doing their very own exams. So now it became all confusing. Which one should I use, HRCI versus SHRM, right? I have told you guys how I felt about the two. So definitely watch those previous videos. If you have not, I will make sure to put them at the end. But I talked about my comparisons between the two. Over time, I've just noticed they have created more apps that we could use to study. There are tons more Facebook groups that exist now. Not that the SHRM has created them, but there's just more that exist. I've noticed also that LinkedIn announcements now lead to job offers and growing networks. And I feel like that is because not only is SHRM putting out different information how to find jobs, but because you have your certification and you have your name, your letters on the end of your name, I notice that I feel like that's what's really brought a lot of attention for quite a few folks. So that's not a one and all, like I need my certification in order to get recognized on LinkedIn. No, it's just your chances are just a little bit better. I want to talk a bit about the technology that has changed. So now, when I first started, you could do the system where you can do the pre-test, You can actually go through some sample questions if you wanted, things like that. Now I've noticed that the modules and the systems have really, really evolved. And guys, the biggest reason I didn't want to go over technology is because honestly, like, let's be for real. We're in a world now where technology is just constantly booming out new stuff. Especially now that I've ventured over into this entrepreneurial world. There's just an app, a link, a website for everything. And so I expect that SHRM is going to constantly try new avenues, new options. I'm pretty sure they're poached all the time, just like we are as HR professionals, where sales folks are always calling us or emailing us with a new service or technology that they can offer us. I'm sure SHRM is the same. And so I'm excited to see the different options that they continue to review. Not that this is a sponsored video or anything, but I highly suggest that you guys respond to them to let them know which systems, which technology, which options they gave really work for you if you use them. That is truly going to help not only if you fail and have to take the test exam, but future professionals that try to take this exam. I just only see technology continuing to change for them. I mean, it would be so nice if they had some luxurious options, but I already gave you guys some options in my 2022 studying for the SHRM HRCI exam video. And with that video, I told you guys all of these options that are available. So it almost doesn't make sense for them to come up with it. Secondly, I hate to say it, we all know SHRM would charge you money if you try to use an app or a group. Like, something's going to come with a $ for them. Sad to say it, but that's just what I've noticed. And so I hope that you guys found this video helpful. Again, I'm just putting this video out there so that you guys can have this information at your fingertips and so that you can be successful in these exams. If you guys are like, Tamika, I got the books, I got the software, I got this, I got that, and nothing's really working for me and I don't have time to create notes, then definitely go to HR.com and feel free to download those notes. I literally am launching my website on Friday, March 18th. If you're on my email list, then you will get early access to my website and you'll get a larger discount. So definitely consider checking that out. Those notes are amazing in my opinion. It's so nice to hear people say that they've done well. I did well with them. You can literally print out whatever pages you like and say, okay, I want to make flashcards of this. In the back of that section, I have videos, links back to videos that I've done that relates to those sections. I have sample exam questions in there for you, charts in there for you, graphs in there for you, Facebook group options, app options. The entire notes is interactive. So you can click on the table of contents and get to whatever section of those notes that you'd like to get to. And as well as the links in the back, you can literally just click on those and get there too. We are doing a 50% off for the entire week of launch. So for my website launch, y'all, I have discounts. Definitely consider getting on my email list. If not, then definitely look at heyhr.com. Please give me some feedback. Like, send me an email, tag me in your posts, whatever. Let me know how you did with those notes, because I would like to make sure that I'm making the appropriate information for you guys. For all of you guys who stuck around this long, I really, really appreciate you. For those of you who are constantly returning, listen, nothing but love for you as well. That's the end of this video, and so I cannot wait to see you guys on the next one.